evening, everyone. Thank you, IPP Suzette. I must say, thanks to the panelists, the discussion has been very interesting so far. DLG touched on a very important note about the very same persons who fight the colored are the very same women. And I am going to ask, any one of the panelists can answer the question, how or what would you say to the person who has already found herself at the table, but to maintain herself at the table, the constant struggle, the constant fight from the very same colored women, what would you say to those persons to maintain your seat at the table?
I believe DLG Lord answered the question, that question earlier when he was speaking. He said, do the work and let your work do the talking. And let me just share an experience with you, Kiwanis and Valerie. In December 2020, when I got to my organization where I'm working at now, I was introduced to all the staff members as a Jamaica House Fellow. And if you know about the program is branded as a brainchild of the Prime Minister that selects Jamaica's brightest minds to work in the government. And when I was introduced to one particular employee, a female, a director in the organization, she said, so what is your qualification? And I was like, okay. And I responded, clearly I was qualified to be where I was because the whole selection process took almost a year and it was very rigorous. And in the first instance, I would have been offended, but I said to myself, you know what? Don't worry about it, kiddies. She will live for you to prove yourself to see how qualified you are. And just last week, I got a text message from that very same female to say that she loves working with me and she will run a business with me any given day because of how well I work. So I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to be bitter. I didn't have to envy or bad mind or react to her comments. I just let my 1 year and out of work do the talking, and she herself came full 360 to acknowledge that. So you don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to be bitter or negative towards anybody. Just shine your light bright like a diamond.
Thank you so much.
Great, excellent response. Kiwanis and Simone, it's now your time to pose your question to our panelists.
Thank you very much. My question is how women at the table can balance being at the table, taking care of the children, like in my case, because I didn't hear it, and especially in the Caribbean where women are still the ones taking care of the children. That is important. Who will raise the children when women are spending most of their time at the table? And it's also an issue here where they're looking at women in STEM and not having enough women in STEM. And the reason is that women have to go on maternity leave and all of those things, and women take more sick days. So that's my question. How do you balance being at the table?
Young lady, I hate to tell you that there is no balance. The constant struggle.
Exactly, there is no balance. As I'm speaking to you right now, Jesse's here beside me, so I'm babysitting while I'm doing this.
I'm doing homework at the same
may
time.
I also tell you something, Kiwanis? Who was the person who spoke?
Simone.
Let me tell you something. When you get to your parking lot at office, you become the lady at the office. When you leave your office and you get home and you put the car in park at home, you have to change again and become the lady who's going into this house, because the people in your office don't want to see Carol Rose Brown, mommy wife. And the people in your yard are not interested in seeing Director Carol Rose Brown in them yard. So I hate to tell you, this is a constant struggle. I hope in another little while it will end. I don't know if it will, but these are the realities. I remember my permanent secretary, we are all of us at work on Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday, we're all at work. And her husband and her daughter are calling and saying, Mommy, when are you coming home? We're at work on Easter Sunday. And I hate to tell you, she didn't leave the office until after 5 o'clock on Easter Sunday. And Lloyd Distant will tell you, and your president will tell you, and all the other men we know, if you're going to do your best at work, this work does not begin at 8:30 and it does not end at 4:30. So there is this reality. So what I'm saying is, if you want a seat at the table, there are consequences to wanting a seat at the table, because wanting a seat at the table is not the same as being the supervisor or the clerk or the nice lady who is the receptionist or the lady who runs the HR department. You want a seat at the table, there are responsibilities that come with it, and you can't walk away because your daughter is crying. Just like how kiddies deal with a crying child and the 7:30 meeting. That's just life. Guys have wives. Manage these things. God bless their little heart.
They don't spend as much time with the children.
Exactly.
Okay, Miss Brown.
Do not have that opportunity. Thank you very much.
You're okay, great. And I see where our Lieutenant Governor, distinguished Lieutenant Governor, placed in the chat, one boss told him, stop thinking about work-life balance. Don't think about it. That, it is all just life. So we just have to get with it. Find a way to let it work. Okay, President is breaking the rule, you know, President. I was just about to ask the panelists my final question and turn your meeting back to you, sir. But you are the boss in charge here, so go ahead, President Garfield.
I just wanted to add to what Ms. Brown was saying, and she said earlier, having the partner that will also add to that that work-life balance, even though it doesn't, you can't fully say it exists. But I think having the partner that will allow you to be out there getting, you know, slaying. I think that's the term nowadays. You're out there slaying. You know, while he will be able to hold down the fort until you get home, or to hold on the fort with you. So I think the balance, as what you were saying, getting that partner to be up there with you is another key part of it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, President Garfield. My final question for the panelists tonight is, we have struggled over the years. I came across a recent report from Reveal, an article that has to do with Silicon Valley not employing women of color. This was done in 2016, a report that came out of Silicon Valley. And when I read it, it pains my heart, you know, because this is saying the whole mantra of diversity and inclusion is not being embraced in such a time as the 21st century that we're living in. The question I do have for the panelists going out tonight, how do we get more organization to embrace diversity and inclusion within the workforce? How? Women of color sitting at the table. How do we in this 21st century?
Lieutenant Governor Lloyd Distant said it earlier. He said that we have to make a deliberate decision to include persons who don't look like us, who don't speak the same language, who don't eat the same food we eat, who are not the same color we are. And I believe that that is a very useful strategy and it will work. But can I just also tell you, the issue of race and class and gender are not going anywhere. I wish, my sister believed, I think I'm beginning to believe her. She says, this is not going to end until everybody is multiracial, where everybody is half white or half black or half Chinese or Indian or whatever. And until everybody is a mix of something else, this is not going to go. So I honestly don't know how you fix this. Because even in our country, where we are supposed to be out of many one people, I don't actually know what that means if 90% of us are Black, but that's enough. There are still among us people who, as Miss Sylvester said when she quoted Buju Banton. Buju Banton is a dark-skinned guy like me, but he's interested in his browning. I don't know if it's, I mean, that is too much for me. I just have 15 hours of work a
day. DP Suzette, if I just add yeah, I'm off.
Go ahead. This is the final question. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so if I just add something to that. So what you find internationally, particularly in North America, there's a growing requirement for diversity, right? So you won't hear specifically women of color, you'll hear diversity. And the starting point almost has to be more women, more Blacks, more disabled. It almost has to be that a broader conversation that facilitates acceptance and inclusiveness. You almost have to take it as one point that no question, there needs to be a purposeful decision. You see what Scotiabank said, that they made a very purposeful decision that they're going to fill more leadership roles with women. What we've got to do is not only have that conversation in the boardroom and keep saying it will slowly but surely move the marker. But these challenges will not disappear overnight. And that's why, like the Public Bodies and Management Accountability Act, that mandates and requires 30%, at least 30% of the boards being women, like the new corporate governance requirements that are being unfolded by both the stock exchange and in conjunction with the PSOJ, that's going to put in there that good corporate governance say that you must have this kind of diversity. It's not necessarily going to say Black, it's just going to say diversity generally. Until we have more and we push collectively for more legislation that forces that direction, is going to keep taking one step at a time. And as Carol indicated, it's going to be with us for a while, but if we want to move faster, we're going to have to require that there's more legislation that forces it to take place. It's not going to happen just naturally, but we must push for it.
Thank you so much. I know Cadiz is doing mommy's duty while doing what she's doing.
I actually want to take a go at that question.
Yes, please,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
My response to that would be to continue conversations like these, to continue advocating in the ways that we can to let our voices be heard. In preparing for this evening, I came across again Katherine Johnson, who was one of the mathematicians who helped the crew that went into space. She was recognized as, a significant part of history. She was a Black African-American woman, a Black woman who was a minority, but forever will be etched in history because of what she's done. So we have many examples. We have Rosa Parks, we have the nannies, we have so many examples. But if we just keep on advocating, keep the conversation going, keep talking, eventually the spark will catch a fire and set the world ablaze.
Okay, thank you to my able panelists this evening. I do want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for knowledge. I mean, I am reading in the chat and it takes me back to organizational theory and behavior, where someone is saying we need to move from surface level diversity to what we call deep level diversity, which looks at the personality, the whole characteristic, the whole makeup of the person. And so I want to leave you ladies to say, we still have a place at the table. We are still relevant in the boardroom. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to the audience, the virtual audience, lively discussion. Thank you until we do this again, same time, same place, some other time. It's over to you, President Garfield. Have a good evening. Take care.